I've been thinking a lot about immigration lately. It's so complex and politically charged.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge topic. What makes it so complicated in your mind?
Well, governments are trying to balance national security, economic needs, and humanitarian responsibilities all at once. It's like they're juggling chainsaws.
Haha, that's quite the visual. So, what are the main debates around immigration these days?
It's really about how open borders should be, who gets to immigrate, and how to handle undocumented immigrants.
Yeah,
There's just so much to consider.
so why do people even decide to immigrate?
Well, there are so many reasons. Economic opportunities, people seeking jobs and better wages.
Yep.
Then there's political persecution, escaping authoritarian regimes.
And war and violence forcing people to flee conflict zones.
Exactly. Plus, family reunification. Folks wanting to join relatives who've
Right.
already moved. And don't forget about climate change and natural disasters pushing people out of their homes.
It's a lot of factors, so immigration has its pros and cons, right?
Definitely. On the plus side, it can boost economic growth by filling labor shortages. And it brings new skills, culture, and diversity to a country.
But on the flip side, it can strain social services and public resources.
Exactly. It may increase competition for low-wage jobs, and some people worry it changes national identity or culture.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance.
So, what kinds of immigration policies are there?
Well, there's open borders versus restricted immigration. Some regions, like the European Union, allow free movement with few restrictions.
Right.
Others have strict controls on visas, work permits, and citizenship.
Like Japan, which has pretty strict immigration laws.
Yeah, they accept very few refugees. Then you have Canada and Australia, which favor skilled-based immigration systems. The US and UK have a mixed approach, balancing economic immigration with border security.
What are the pros and cons of open immigration?
Well, pros include helping businesses find workers, providing refuge for people in danger, and encouraging cultural diversity.
Yep.
Cons might be that it can overwhelm public services and raise security concerns over unvetted individuals.
Then there's legal versus undocumented immigration.
Exactly. Legal immigration is when people follow visa and residency requirements. Undocumented immigration occurs when people enter without
Right.
permission or overstay visas. It's a major issue in many countries.
And there are millions of undocumented immigrants, often working in low-wage jobs.
Yes, and some countries offer amnesty programs to legalize long-term undocumented residents. But it's a contentious
Interesting.
topic.
What are the arguments for and against legalizing undocumented immigrants?
Pros are that it helps them contribute taxes and integrate into society. It reduces illegal hiring and exploitation. Cons are that it may encourage more illegal immigration, and some argue it rewards those who broke the law.
But couldn't you argue that they're already contributing to society in many ways?
Well, that's true. But some feel that legalizing them undermines the legal immigration process. It's a complex issue.
Then we have border security and deportation policies.
Right? Some countries build walls, fences, and use surveillance systems to stop illegal crossings. But is that
Like
really
the
effective?
US-Mexico border wall. That's a good question.
Exactly. And the EU's border security efforts to prevent migration from Africa and the Middle East face similar challenges.
And deportation policies complicate things further.
Yes, countries deport undocumented immigrants based on criminal records or visa violations. But some argue deportation splits families and punishes hardworking people.
So what are the pros and cons of stronger border security?
Pros include reducing illegal immigration and helping prevent human trafficking and drug smuggling.
True.
Cons are that it's expensive to maintain and may harm refugees and asylum seekers who need help.
Isn't there a point where the costs outweigh the benefits?
That's a valid concern. The resources dedicated to border security could be used elsewhere,
Yeah,
but others argue that national security is paramount.
it's a tough call. Then there's the situation in the US with policies like DACA and sanctuary cities.
Right. The US has a complicated visa system. Green cards, work visas like H-1B, and temporary visas. DACA protects undocumented immigrants
Yeah.
who arrived as children. Sanctuary cities choose not to cooperate with federal deportation efforts.
The political divide in the US on immigration is really stark.
Absolutely. Liberals generally support pathways to citizenship, refugee protections, and immigrant rights. Conservatives often favor stronger border security, limits on immigration, and stricter deportation laws.
Is there any hope for a middle ground?
Some advocate for immigration reform that includes both border security measures and pathways to legal status.
Right.
But political divisions make it difficult to achieve consensus.
What about the economic impacts of immigration?
On the positive side, immigrants fill jobs in industries like farming, construction, and healthcare.
Yep.
They start businesses, pay taxes, and can help support aging populations.
But there are negatives too, right?
Yes, they can drive down wages in certain industries, strain housing, healthcare, and schools.
Yeah.
And there can be social tensions over cultural integration.
So can immigration policy be balanced?
That's the million-dollar question. Possible solutions include stronger vetting while keeping legal immigration open, more work visa programs, pathways to citizenship for long-term undocumented immigrants, and fair refugee policies.
But challenges like political division and balancing security with human rights remain.
Exactly. Economic pressures driving migration make it even more complex. It's a multifaceted issue with no easy answers.
So how can countries create fair and effective immigration policies?
Well, they need to consider all aspects: economic, security, humanitarian, and strive for a balance.
Yeah.
Engage in open dialogue and be willing to compromise.
That sounds ideal, but do you think it's achievable?
Honestly, it's challenging, but I believe with the right leadership and public support, progress can be made.
Hopefully.
It's essential for the future.
Well, this has been a really enlightening conversation.
Agreed? Thanks for diving into this with me.
Anytime. Let's keep the dialogue going.